Lewis, thank you for joining us today.
Mate, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see you here. Obviously, we know about your artwork and
Yeah.
your tattooing and stuff anyway, but yeah, it's good to actually see you
Thank
here
you,
in the
man,
HQ.
thank you. In the HQ.
So originally, well, not originally, but you came from Worcester today.
Came from Worcester today,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that the hometown originally, or?
So I've lived in England for probably coming up to 6 years now. So I moved to England when I was 19 I'm literally from the very top of Scotland.
Yeah.
So yeah, and if you drive like another hour north, that's it. There's no more.
God.
You're literally at the top. So yeah, for me, for what I do, at the time I was kind of starting out up there, but you know, there was no way for progression.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just like it was either like move away or probably just not progress as much as I would have liked, you know.
So what's actually like the area of Scotland that you're saying?
So it is the Highlands, but the town is called Dornoch. So
Right.
it's right on the coast. It's literally a golfing village of maybe 2,000 people.
2,000
Yeah,
people. That's it.
I mean, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My high school.
But you tattooed about 1,000 of them,
Yeah,
didn't you?
literally, mate, it got to that point. If
Yeah.
it wasn't me, the guy that taught me to tattoo, we had pretty much cleared. Like, there's like 3 or 4 towns around that area,
Yeah.
and me and him pretty much cleared the
God.
majority of people.
So I bet when you left, it was like, there's no one here now. Who's tattooing
there
anymore?
wasn't, mate. It was like it's so I think there was maybe one in the capital of the Highlands is called Inverness.
Yeah.
There's a few quite good studios there, and then there was maybe one right north in a town called Thurso, but in between that area, there's nothing.
God.
It's like to be honest, there's not even there's nothing really creative.
Yeah.
So it's like
Kind of limits you, doesn't it?
You're super limited on resources, you know. So for any kind of progression, you would struggle. It's
So you said 6 years ago, right?
6 years ago.
So was it how did you find Worcester? Like, was there someone already there that you knew of? Did you guest spot somewhere? Or
So the guy that taught me to tattoo was originally from Poland.
yeah.
And he grew up in Bournemouth. And I think he was floating around the scene in Bournemouth. There, as you know, there's a lot of good artists down there.
Oh yeah.
And then he somehow made it up to the Highlands of Scotland. And then I met him when I would have been 16, I think I was.
Yeah.
And then met him, and he tattooed one of my friends, and then kind of got into it this way. And I drew, like I grew up drawing, but I'd never ever I don't ever remember seeing tattoos as a child, or
Yeah.
you know, my mum had a few, but you know, like that creative side, like I was saying to you, was so limited that it was not even on the radar, you know. It was so far away from that.
Yeah.
And then my friend got tattooed on his shoulder, and it was black and grey realism, and that kind of just like
That was the spark.
yeah, it sparked everything, mate. Because I drew charcoal and graphite pencil, and
Oh, cool.
you know, once I'd seen that, and it was like, oh, black and grey realism, I was kind of wow, I'm really interested.
So you were doing like shading and stuff,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
when you saw a tattooed version of that kind of form of artwork,
like, it started everything, you know.
yeah.
And then I kind of got myself into that with an apprenticeship with him, and then I think I worked with him for a short time. It was like 6 or 7 months, and he ended up moving back to Inverness, which was probably about an hour and 20 minutes from where I was from.
Yeah.
And then one day he literally messaged me. So I was tattooing. I moved out just before my 18th. Pardon me. And I was tattooing in my living room.
Yeah.
And it was like, to be fair, it was clean. The house was clean. You know, the way I was tattooing was professional, but the quality of the work obviously wasn't quite there, because I was maybe only 1 or 2 years into it.
Yeah.
But everything was clean. I wasn't like reusing needles. I did have gloves on as well.
This is where we bring up a picture of Lewis's old.
The one thing that I did was I didn't have a sharps bin, so I would I had a stone back yard in the garden, so I would bury needles into the ground. That was the worst thing I did, but apart from that, everything else was clean.
So the person that's now there is probably like, "Hey, we should do this garden, shouldn't we?" And then suddenly,
like, what
the fuck has been going on around here?
But,
Lewis was here.
Yeah, literally, mate. Honestly, so bad. But it's and then he messaged me. So the guy that taught me, he messaged me one day, and he's like, "Oh, I have a guest spot in Worcester." I think he might have even said Birmingham. I don't even think he said Worcester at the time. But he's like, "Oh, do you want to come down with me?" So I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to."
Yeah.
I had I don't know if you remember those, like, do you remember Sullen did those boxes, and they were like with the backpacks.
Oh, I know the backpacks.
You know the
Yeah.
backpacks? Is it BLAQ? They were called Black.
Yes, Black.
And they
yeah.
came with the Salon boxes. So I remember like packing my stuff into the Salon box. I had everything in there.
Going on an adventure.
Yeah, and I wasn't supposed to take my stuff because I wasn't invited for the guest spot.
Oh.
And but I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna
go
like,
anyway.
why not?
Yeah.
I've always been quite cheeky in the sense like I'd want to try.
Why not?
You know, if the offer is there, or even if it's not there, I'd still want to try. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took my stuff and I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to tattoo. So I ended up tattooing one of the manager's hands, and it took me so long. I was happy with it, but I remember it took me so long. And then, you know, at the time I was 19, I had no ties. I had nothing holding me back. You know, I had I could end the lease in my little bungalow. I had nothing tying me in. Whereas my friend, he had, you know, like a family, kids.
Kind of.
Yeah, I think at the time he had his own space, so he had a lot more. So they offered me a job, and then literally I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks later I moved down to England. You know.
God.
And then
quick process, isn't it? Really, that sounds
but
like.
When you're young and you have.
Well, that's it. Like you said, like when there's no ties, when there's no kind of like limitations, you can just hop up and go somewhere, can't you?
I mean, I miss like those days were awesome because you could just like you go anywhere,
free reign,
not a care in the world, do whatever you want. You know, so it was nice, and I love Worcester. It's you know, it's small, not too small, but it's in the middle of England. So like for me, majority of my clients come from down south or up north, so. You know, it's
very centered.
It's an equal distance for everyone to travel, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just a lovely little city. Like 10-15 minutes, you're in the countryside, which is kind of what I like.
So, yeah.
You know, it's a nice meet in the middle. It's not obviously the Highlands of Scotland.
Yeah, a bit different, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know where I'd be if I'd.
Do you ever find time to go back up there and visit and stuff?
I go home at Christmas for probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But the excitement just gets too much, mate. It's like I feel like I'm 17 again.
Oh yeah. Blast from the. It's probably very nostalgic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, mate. And it's like, you know, all those memories it brings back, and it's like I always like take work with me. You know, plan to do, you know, work or even drawing or some designs, and mate, I never do fuck all because I'm just so excited to see everyone.
Yeah, on the journey there, you're like, I can crack on with this, do this, and then suddenly when you get there,
it's just like all out the window. It's like,
I suppose that's what you need to do, isn't it? Like you can't, you know, your family and friends from up there, they're probably thinking, you know, they want to see Lewis and
This is it. I don't know what you boys do, but I always find at Christmas time, like, it's hard to. I find it hard to tattoo around that time.
It's hard to just be motivated and productive because everyone's so kind of relaxed and it's all about like food gatherings and meeting people.
I guess
and
with you boys as well, though, I assume it would maybe quiet down because everyone will do the order maybe at the start of December. That'll last into maybe Jan.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we kind of use it as a bit of an advantage for us because the more time we've got, the more we can sort of like get on with projects that aren't. They're not really prioritised throughout the year. Summer, autumn's quite hectic, and then suddenly it's like, oh, we've got some time off in winter. Not time off, but we've got space.
Time to put your.
Whereas you guys, obviously, it's probably more of like, I'm going to have a break from tattooing now and let my back rest up a little bit.
And plus, if it's cold, I feel bad. Like, especially if someone's getting something on their chest or. You know what I mean? Have you ever been tattooed at a convention?
Yes, multiple times. Well, I've had legs done, really.
Oh, so you could keep like your top half warm. Because I got tattooed at a convention on my top arm and I just felt like cold all the time because it's so open. Yeah. And I was like, if I'm never doing this again.
Well, Monica Kosh and Ryan Lucas both tattooed me as a collab, all up here.
Nice.
But I don't know when that was now. Do you remember, Luke? I never remember. It was Freeze, but it was...
I think it was
2019.
2019.
So a good while ago now, but I remember
what one?
Sorry?
What convention was it?
Tattoo Freeze, the one that's in February in Telford.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've been to that.
That's the one we do. That's the first one we do every single year. Really.
Is that the main one that you boys do? Or?
It's not the main one, but it's one of the ones that we consistently go to.
Oh, nice.
But it was just, I remember from the point you're making there, like I remember like getting tattooed is fine. Like you're just there, like you got to get on with it. And then as soon as it's like, right, you can have a break now, suddenly you're like, oh man, why am I doing this? I fucking don't want to do this.
All the emotions running through, and then you start and you go into the dark place. You're like,
Dave Valentine tattooed this small piece on my leg here at Great British a few years back, and that was fine because it's quite an isolated area. You can wrap it up and wear shorts, not a problem. But up here, like whether you've got shorts on or trousers on,
it's open.
It's just awkward.
Yeah.
And I remember I went to Warsaw, went to Poland like the week after with my friend for a gig, and I was just like, "Fuck, why have I done this right next to a holiday?"
I hope when you're wearing the trousers, it rubs against it.
Plus, also it was February, so shorts weren't exactly an option in the middle of Poland.
Wow, yes. Oh so, my goodness.
Lessons learned.
What's the longest you've ever sat for?
I should be asking you this question, shouldn't I?
I know.
I'll ask you in a sec. All right, then. Longest I've ever sat for. Well, I've done day sessions. I've not done anything longer than a day session.
Okay.
So what's that, like 6 hours really? Yeah. So I'd probably say like just day session. I've never done like sitting like a 3-day stupid kind of like.
I thought you would have now,
Oh, that's probably in the pipeline now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be now. You got 2023, mate. You got to just do it.
Every year it's going to get bigger and better, isn't it? So by 2030, I'll just be a tattoo canvas. I won't even have any space on me. What's your longest sitting then?
I did, to be fair, not too bad, but I did 2 days in a row. So inside forearm, outside forearm.
Yeah.
With an Italian guy, and it was like, it was crazy. We started at like, the first day we started at, God, it might have even been later, like 6 in the evening.
It started at 6 in the evening.
And tattooed until like 2:33. And then I got back, slept, and the same again the second day. So he used to kind of work through the night.
Is that because it was like cooler in the evening to work in the studio?
I don't know. I think it's just the way he did it. I don't think he does it now by looking at some of his Instagram.
Yeah.
But that's what he did when he was tattooing me. Every time he tattooed me, apart from he tattooed me at a convention, London, at the Tobacco Docks.
Yeah.
So we started doing the top arm, and it took us a little bit longer than we planned. And he's like, I have a cancellation on Sunday. So I was getting tattooed on the Friday. And he's like, I have a cancellation on the Sunday. Do you want to come back? And I'm thinking, oh my God. I was like, not only is it's like 2 days away. So it's going to be like settling down. And then I'm going to have to go back in again.
Man.
At the convention. And I was like, yeah, if it needs that, then of course, because you're going back to Italy, I'm probably not going to see you for it.
Yeah.
And if it makes it easier for you, then let's do it. And obviously, being the idiot I am, I went out on the Saturday night. And
you went out on the Saturday?
On the Saturday night.
Oh man,
yeah, which was a horrendous idea. And was drinking on the Saturday night, not heavy, but enough that the next day I was like, right, I don't feel 100%, and then got tattooed for the full day, and it's probably one of the only times that I've ever drank before a tattoo, and I was like, yeah, this is probably going to be the last time as well, because I just remember sitting there with like a hoodie on, like, oh goodness.
But at that point you were like, you are the only one to blame here, it's your fault.
What can you do? Do you know what I mean? At the time it's all a great idea.
Yeah. Lessons learned, right?
Lessons learned, mate. You're only young ones, innit? So why not?
I want to go back a little bit in our conversation.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about obviously moving from up north, then Bournemouth, then Worcester. How long has a studio been going for now then?
So I had the studio since 6 months before lockdown.
Right.
Opened it 6 months, October 2019.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the world went, fuck you, Lewis.
March
COVID.
2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. March 20 something, we went into official lockdown.
So it's like, what did we do? We barely did half a year of work, and then obviously, what happened? It's all went tits up,
So how did that sort of was that a bit of a financial hit
hard,
for you?
Mate, it was hard. I was quite fortunate in the sense of I got help from the grant scheme.
Oh yeah.
So from like the Worcester Council, I think they do it on square metre of the premise.
Oh okay.
So I was fortunate with that, which I know some of my friends weren't, and which I think is ridiculous. I feel, even though it doesn't matter on the size of the
but you could fit a fair few people in a small space to tattoo, right?
Yeah. People should still have got relief, you know what I mean, and help from the council. But yeah, fortunately enough, I did, which kind of just managed to keep everything afloat. Yeah.
How many people did you have working with you when we went into lockdown? Was it?
Man.
Did you start off with yourself and a couple of residents, or was it just you?
No, it was myself and one resident, Joe, who tattooed Kona.
Yeah.
I think no. Yeah, it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
So it was a bit like, whoa, we were kind of, we felt comfortable, and it was like, okay, things are good. Me and him, we're doing good work, happy.
Yeah.
And then it just got cut,
I bet that must have been like a killer for motivation.
It was a killer, mate. Yeah. I think the first one, it was like March this summer, wasn't it? or
something
like
stupid like that.
I struggled a lot, mate. I think like
struggled what, as in like just being
just
away from.
Yeah, just like being away from it. I think, you know, I tattooed from like 16, 17 in 2020. I would have been, I don't know, 21, 22. Like constant, really. Yeah. You know, a lot, tattooing 6-7 days a week at times.
To nothing.
Yeah, to have it then taken away. I really struggled with it, you know, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of people, you know. Not only do people rely on tattooing because they love it, but I think also the social aspect of it. You know, getting to see their clients, meet new people, you know, it's kind of like, I think it's a lot of artists therapy in a way for themselves, you know. To have that completely stripped, it was like a huge shock to the system, you know. So when obviously we kind of got the green light to all go back into and that, you and Joe were like, let's fucking go for it, like 6 days a week, smashing it and stuff, getting
and then
slowly. I took on an apprentice, and then a management as well, like a client coordinator. So there was 4 of us, and then obviously then we worked for a little bit, and it all happened again, didn't it?
Yeah.
When was it? I can't remember the second one. Was
it all kind of feels like
November, wasn't
one
it?
Big, like, fucking.
I think I want to say it was like in November.
Yeah.
So the whole time it was like stop, start. My apprentice at the time, I felt sorry for him because he couldn't get
that
any
practice
kind
in or
of
anything.
motion going. It was like start, taken away, start. So it was, you know, for him it was difficult. And then obviously us, we were just getting so frustrated with it, you know.
Was you his mentor then?
Yeah, I was mentoring him. Yeah.
Did you manage to maybe do any sort of like practice skin stuff at home or anything with him, or just to kind of keep it going?
A little bit, mate. Yeah. I think he did actually, and then he was drawing all the time as well. Yeah,
got to keep up the handwork and stuff.
I did a practice skin, mate, and I was like, whoa! It took me by surprise because I never learnt on fake skin. Yeah. I started straight on my friends. They were pretty ballsy. Yeah. So I was like started straight on real skin, and then I tattooed for what, I don't know, 6 or 7 years at the time, and then did the fake skin for my friend because she had a little exhibition in a burger shop that we go to, and in the bathroom she made like a little art exhibition. So I thought, oh, you know what, I've got the time,
put something towards.
I want to try and do like a fake skin. So anyway, I made this concept and did the fake skin, and I was like, whoa! I was like, it felt so unnatural for me, you know what I mean? Like I started it feeling really confident, and then like, immediately, mate, I was like panicked. I was like, right, okay, you need to concentrate, mate, and you need to like figure out how to do this. It's so different. Like,
I suppose it is because you've, especially like you said, you've never had that kind of like fake skin practice, and then suddenly here's this, like, what did you have, like a little thin strip of it, or was it like a pound of flesh sort of thing?
No, it was it's called real skin.
The one, that's sheets. The one that we've got. Yeah.
So it's like an A4 sheet. Yeah. And I was like, oh my days. I was like, this is like so far away from what I thought it was going to be. Yeah. I don't think I'd ever tattooed a pound of flesh either. I'm glad that I started on something that was flat to begin with, because I probably would have had a panic attack if it was the pound of flesh. Because like, even though I know how to obviously tattoo on
manipulate
an arm,
skin and stuff, but that kind of fake skin,
firm, isn't it? You know, it's so to then. Yeah, I was just like, whoa. But I was happy with it. I think like the line work was so bad. The line work was
which is odd for you to say, because a lot of your kind of style right now is very line work, but fine detail. I
couldn't get the hang of it, mate. Yeah. You know, towards the end, I feel like if I was to do one now, but you know, at the time I think, I don't know if you ever saw when Justin Burnett did the Virgin Mary and the rolls on the pound of flesh, and it was the cleanest thing I've ever seen.
I'm saying that.
And I was like, yeah, maybe I could do something similar. And I started, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like,
cover up.
I was like, I need to get another sheet and start again, I think. You know? Yeah. But it worked out okay. It was fine. Luckily, it's at like the top of the wall, so you need to squint to see it, and you can't really see.
That's
all the
that Lewis fake skin thing, isn't it? It's like, oh God, is it that one with the wonky lines? Scruffy, yeah, that's it. That one.
But it's okay. You know.
Well, it doesn't matter about that, does it? Because you can do a killer tattoo on some actual people.
Yeah,
so
that's the main thing.
I've got to question you about this then. So obviously your tattoo style.
Yeah.
I don't personally know what kind of category it would fall into, because you've got the black and grey realism side of it. You've got the fine detail. You've almost got a little bit of geometric side going in. So how would you sort of describe it?
Yeah, I think like what you just said, I think it's a merge of different elements, and it's kind of like a conceptual fine line approach with realism in there. I guess it's not really got like a direct
title or anything.
You know, like maybe traditional does, but then everything these days is kind of like finding new routes. And
that's the only way you can kind of look unique, I suppose. At the moment,
definitely.
really.
I think like obviously tattooing's been around for so long now, and there's so many great artists. It's trying to find your own little kind of niche element that maybe separates you from different artists. To when people see it, it's like, oh, it's so and so's work, you know. And I think that's like the exciting thing that keeps you interested. It's like, how can I create something that's unique? And I try and like add in like elements into every design. It's almost like a structured blueprint of like, okay, whether it be like a break in a realistic piece with line work in the middle, or hexagons, or dots in a certain way of format. It's like, so like little kind of almost like equations that people would be like, oh, that's, you know, my work. And I'm sure, I think other people do the same thing too, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, from what you've just said there, I'll definitely say, these two will probably agree with me as well, but like, if I had no kind of like, if I was flicking through the Instagram feed for Star and I can see all the people we follow, if I had no names above it, I could probably recognise your work straight away.
That's cool.
Just because it's like, I don't really see many, like some people do it, like there's a few tattooists that I know that obviously do all sorts, but like you seem to be the most consistent at it, and I think that's probably because you enjoy the process of it.
Yeah, I really love it, mate. Yeah,
like one of the best ones you posted was when you had the tattoo, but then you put on some sort of Photoshop tile, like you did 3 or 4 split posts, and it said the process of
it's just nice
what your client wanted and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's nice to break it down, because obviously ultimately it is just a tattoo design.
To the normal person, to the actual client,
that's the thing that I enjoy, because like to the client it has so many hidden elements in there. And I didn't used to always do that, but I wanted to start doing it and talking about things more and putting it out there for people who follow me, so that they feel more comfortable to approach myself with the idea that they have. Or give them, I thought it would probably spark different ideas that they may have if they see like, it doesn't need to be like, a crazy experience or a traumatic experience. It can be anything that's small and multiple elements that I think I always refer to, like, if I was to do it just realism, like black and grey realism, I think it would be really hard to merge these designs together, because they have some of them have no relevance with one another. Each subject could be so different, so like doing like the likes of double exposure, so like putting like an image on an image, it's a nice way to tie it in, as a design. So that's kind of what I enjoy doing, and a lot of the time I'm like thinking like, right, you've got, I think the one that you're talking about was like a puffin.
Yes, that was
and an old building that's like a stone kind of dome. And it's like to try and merge those in so it actually looks aesthetically pleasing to the eye.
And fits the area
and
well
fits
as well.
The area, of course. And do them as one image can be quite challenging, but that's the whole point in it.
So where do you sort of start this process? Like, say for example, a client gets in touch and says, "Hey Lewis, love your work. I'd love something specific from you." Is it generally the case that they'll send you like 2 or 3 subjects that they want to get in a tattoo, but they have no idea visually how it is?
Pretty much exactly this. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think there's like different emails that we'll get. Majority of them are exactly how you explained it,
right?
And then some will be like purely based on like an emotion that they feel, and they have no imagery. And these are the ones that I found the hardest to design for, because it's very open for interpretation. You're designing something for someone that you don't know. You don't know what kind of taste they have. You don't really know what they're interested in. But I feel like now the good thing is that if they do come to me, I would hope that they have a good idea of what they're gonna get, which is something that makes me happy, because it's like I feel comfortable then that I can kind of run with it, and they know that they're gonna get some sort of maybe like a structure of a figure with different elements combined, obviously the fine line with the geometrics, and they know that they're gonna get this.
Does it also kind of depend on how not to make it like, obviously the tattoo that the client wants is about what the client wants, but ultimately you're the one that's visualizing what they're saying. So do you sort of like, do you reckon that your kind of emotions on that day kind of blend into it in some way as well, or is that very much isolated with whatever the client wants? Or
I think I'm pretty fortunate. I do a mix of two. I mean, I'll put I kind of always design 2 days or the day before.
Yeah.
Just so that, you know, what I'm feeling for, you know, then I can put all my focus into that one concept, and what I'm feeling then, and if I have any ideas, you know, put my touch into it as well. But I always kind of have like, say, like an hour before where we'll sit down and we'll go over everything and we'll bounce ideas off one another too.
Yeah.
So I think like majority of the time it's really a collaboration between myself and the client.
Yeah. How often do you get that last minute, oh, actually, can we change this? Is that quite a regular occurrence, or is it a case most of the time it's like, oh my God, I love it, and that's it?
No, I think it's a real good mix between the two. I think it's actually a 50-50, mate.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, could we add in that? And I'm always like, if I'll always try it for them. I never want to say no, even though maybe deep down I feel like it might hinder my kind of view on the design. Yeah. I'll always try it so they can at least see it. Yeah. And then like majority of the time they'll be like, oh, maybe not, or we'll both kind of discuss it together. And you know, like it's usually like it's nice when they're like, oh yeah, I love it, and they don't make any changes. I'm like, well, it's almost like too good to be true. Yeah. But it happens quite a bit as well.
Because I suppose, I mean, as a tattooist, like you're sitting there, you're probably thinking like, right, so I've got Johnny's kind of like thing that he wants, blah blah blah. I'm going to do this. You probably go over it 3, 4, 15 fucking times yourself, and then when you finally say, here you go, Johnny, here's the design I've made for you. If he goes, oh, I don't know really, I bet that's like a bit of a fuck's sake.
Yeah, I think.
But ultimately, it's what the client's going to have on their body, so you kind of have to rein yourself in a bit and go, okay, what are we thinking?
I think the one thing that I always do, and I think I do it quite well, is I really talk to them about the design before, because...
As in before you start drafting, or...?
No, so I'll have the design done, and then when I go to see the client, say I'm tattooing you, I'll sit down with them and I'll show it. I'll talk through everything with them. So I'm not just giving them the iPad. I talk everything through with them, why I did this.
So you said you wanted this, and...
Yeah, kind of like what the slides were, I do for them. Even though they know what it's...
That's good.
You know, just so that... Because I think like once it's explained to you, you see it in a whole different perspective as to why you put this there. Maybe I've like, you know, a lot of the time I'll go and I'd like to research different things based on the topic that they have or they want to do, so that I can kind of put my own information that I've researched into the design as well, you know. Just so that, you know, maybe it's like it's nice for them that I've added an element that they might not have thought of, you know.
Yeah, it's almost vice versa. Yeah, it's like adding an extra layer onto their kind of their sentimental feeling. Is like you've I suppose at that point it's a massive compliment to the client, because you've kind of understood where they are. Yeah. And you're like, I understand what shoes you're in with this kind of thing that you want. I think having this as well would amplify this, and that makes them go, fuck, he gets me. Yeah. Knows what I'm talking about.
I want it to, you know, like we're saying, it's like the whole experience of everything. And I want it, you need to put everything into the design, I feel. It's like, you know, obviously the tattooing is important.
Do you ever get asked to do much colour work?
I've never done it really, mate, no.
Have you, what, do you get asked about doing colour though?
Never. Oh, okay. I never really get asked to do anything that's like...
Would you ever do like your style but just in a different colour, like a red or a blue or something?
Not the whole thing.
Yeah.
But definitely an element.
Like a secondary colour?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But not... I think if I was to do it, I'd like to do maybe quite like maybe like pastel colours, or maybe not quite like red or blues. Maybe like pink. Or soft pink, or like a soft blue. Yeah. I don't know, maybe like, or even maybe some browns, just like different colours instead of doing like primary kind of. Although I do love the way it looks on the skin. Yeah. And and mix it up. It's funny, one of my friends actually asked me this a couple of weeks ago and said the same thing. So now you're making me think, like, I need to...
It's only because your profile is very much like the same kind of palette.
I mean,
and
I've just
shades
used
and
dynamic my whole career, I think.
Yeah.
Dynamic black. Maybe maybe last year, like 3-4 months ago, I got the grey wash set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the 2040, 6080, yeah.
Oh, it is nice. I do like it. But then I made exactly the same.
Oh, you dilute your own stuff then, basically.
I did like that 24, like exactly the same. So I don't know if I see much of a difference, but it's nice to just kind of try it.
So has that been like consistent for you now? Like when did that sort of become consistent? Because obviously I presume as a tattooist you tried a few things around and then you found what you wanted.
I've used dynamics since I started.
Yeah.
But I did go between world famous and nocturnal.
Yep.
In between that. So I was like constantly using dynamic, but testing like nocturnal and a few other things. And you know, I love those things. I think they're great companies, but I think some of my stuff was maybe like healing slightly with maybe like a blue tone
but dynamic was black, and that's exactly how you
black and really nice like soft greys, which is what I loved, you know. But it's nice to try. I never knew if like world famous, I didn't know if they had whites in the ink or I just felt they healed different to what I kind of the look that I was wanted. But then I've seen so many, and I think my whole arm's done with nocturnal and it healed real nice. And you know, I've seen like, I think Little Nick uses world famous, doesn't he? Like black and grey artists that use these, and I love the heels, you know. But yeah, it's nice to just try, isn't it?
What sort of machines are you running?
I pretty much only ever use Bishop as well. Yeah, I started with the V2 back in the day, and then I think I had a Quadrant as well, Proton pen. And then that was the first like cartridge machine that I had. And then it's been Bishop 1 since. What
do you run, a liner?
Liner and shader.
Liner and the shader,
Yeah, I was gutted because I got the shader. I can't remember when I got my first Bishop shader, and then literally my last tattoo last year, it just cut out. I had like the new critical packs. And then it completely cut out, and then I was like trying to tinker with it, playing around with it, wouldn't work. As soon as I put the critical power pack on, it would come up with a little warning sign, and I was like, what is going on? And I was like having a look, and I couldn't, and then I was like seeing if anyone fixed rotaries. No one got back to me. So I was like, yeah, okay. And then I checked the warranty, it was way outside of warranty, obviously. I think they only do 1 year.
That's generally the case.
I was kind of shocked about it. I thought it might be 2.
Usually it's like 12 or 18 months usually, I think, most of the time.
But and then I was like, right, okay. And I had the liner as well, but luckily one of the boys at Shudo had a spare shader. So I could kind of use that for the beginning of the year, and then got another one. But mate, everything these days is so expensive. Like,
man, we know from a supplier's perspective, like the amount of stuff, even just generic stuff. Like, I mean, I bet disregard COVID, like everything in general in the last 2 years
has completely changed.
Shrunk.
Like, well, you know what the gloves are. For instance.
Well, that's it. Like, gloves was one of the main talking points. Like, when everything went up in price, everyone thought, oh, tattoo suppliers, they're just trying to rake it in. And it's like, no. Everyone has now suddenly been squashed with bigger costs.
I mean, even when you go to, like, Booker's, I went to Booker's and I was like, I didn't realise they had gloves there too. And I took a photo of the prices. The prices are exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, a good amount for a single box. They're not really any cheaper even in these...
That's the thing, like it hit everywhere, didn't it? Like everything suddenly went up in price. Tattoos, I imagine your prices might have had to go up a little bit to try and
just got it's like survival, isn't it? So
I was going to say one thing I wanted to bring up actually with you, which is something that you've done that not many studios, I don't think I've actually seen many studios do it, is that international, when you have internationals come over, you've got that property area to sort of have them housed in and stuff now.
So it's not technically ours, we just work with...
You're partnered with them to...
I mean, I would love to do something like that, so it was literally ours and we could offer that as a package.
But like the partner thing is like just across the street, isn't it?
So it's literally 2 or 3 doors away.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So it's a cafe I go in most mornings, and it's like they do really good food, and it was funny how it worked out. But they had rooms upstairs, and I always knew they were quite nice rooms. And one morning I went in, I was sitting there having my breakfast, and I noticed they had like a little like a sign like promoting the rooms and advertising the rooms. So anyway, I spoke to the girls that were working there, and they're like, oh, the manager that actually runs the rooms is just coming in. So we had a chat, and I approached her about the idea of, is there any way that we could work together for like guests and clients that come over.
Clients as well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and obviously the guest artists, so that it's just an extra little thing. It's like 3 doors away. People don't have to worry about anything. You know, you can rock up to the studio 5 minutes whenever you want.
Yeah, you can come downstairs, have a nice breakfast and coffee, and then get next door.
I always find like guest artists are funny because I'm like quite. I have to be there a lot, like a good 2 hours before my client.
Yeah.
All the time.
2 hours?
Yeah, I just mentally, I don't want to rush.
Yeah, okay.
I want to chill, especially on guest spots. At my studio, because I know where everything is, I'm like, I go to the gym in the morning, so I maybe go an hour before my client. And I know where everything is. I feel I'm comfortable. I'm never rushing. Whereas like on guest spots, you know, I even though I take my little printer with me, I'm still always like, you know, I want to make sure everything is comfortable.
Where's the exits? Where's the entrances?
Yes,
where's the toilet?
where's
that?
Yeah. But it's like, and guest artists, when they come to mine, I feel like they rock up like super late. You know, each their own is what works for them. You know.
Yeah.
I guess they can do whatever they want. You know. So, but yeah, at least with that, they're there, so they can literally just like, they ain't got to get a taxi or a train or anything.
Yeah, I was going to say that's one of the best things that eliminates.
Yeah, fully.
Like it's because you're like, right, I'm guest spotting at this place. Shit, where am I going to stay? Like, okay, good.
How
like, far away is this? I've got to get an Uber.
It's 50 meters away. Perfect.
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah. How long have you been doing that for now then? Like a couple of months?
This year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like beginning of Jan, I think.
Yeah. Good feedback so far.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it was funny because it's like as soon as we did it, my mate came down from Glasgow and I told him about it, and I was like, oh, where are you staying? He's like, oh, I'm staying in the rooms. And I was like, oh god, I didn't realise that you were actually good, because I said to him, I was like, oh, we have rooms, and then we didn't speak about it, and then when I was with him like weeks later, he's like, oh no, I'm actually staying next door, and I was like, perfect. So yeah, he was like happy, and the clients, yeah, it's like it's just a nice little touch.
I bet the staff at that cafe are suddenly thinking, why is all these tattooed people suddenly started turning up now?
Yeah, we need
what's
to
happened? Is there a tattoo studio
the whole vibe of like the cafe is completely changed.
Yeah. Speaking of guest spots, you've obviously done a few little guest spots around the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's cool, man.
What's the most recent place you've been to then?
Bath. My friend just had just got a studio in Bath. It's called Holm. It's outside of Bath.
Oh, okay.
In like a beautiful little location, mate. I've never been to anything like it. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a complex kind of in the middle of like the countryside. So like
interested.
It's really beautiful, mate. They have basically just like creative spaces. Yeah. I don't know what else they have there, but it's just like creative spaces in the middle of the country. They have like this beautiful cafe that's outside that you can sit in with your client when you're having lunch and have a coffee. There's beautiful food there, and it's awesome, mate. It's like, I really, really love it. It's just so chilled.
Well, we'll have to let us know the Instagram of that, and then Connor or Luke can put like a little plug here or something. Yeah,
Studio 555 it's called, and then my friend, his name's Damien.
Yeah.
But it's Host Tattoo on Instagram.
Okay.
And he does like really cool abstract work. He's done quite a lot of work on me too.
Oh, perfect.
But yeah, I think like anyone that's listening, definitely go for a guest spot there.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah.
What about outside the UK?
Outside the UK, mainly Germany, Spain. Germany quite a lot. I feel like, I don't know why, but my style seems to work great in Germany.
Yeah.
I love Hamburg, is like my favourite place of all time.
Have you ever guest spotted at a trap house?
No, I've not.
Because they do a lot of black work and they do a lot of kind of stuff.
Is that in Berlin?
Not like similar to you, but they have like a very...
In Berlin?
I can't remember where it's from, but part of me is thinking Hamburg, because you just said that. I don't know why something just went off in my head.
Trap house sounds like Berlin, but maybe.
Yeah. Can either of you two Google where trap house is in Germany? It's going to be somewhere completely nowhere near. It's probably not even Germany. My brain has gone, say this.
It's in Cornwall.
No, but yeah, Germany,
Spain. Spain's cool. I went to Madrid. It was quite hard because typical like someone from the UK, they did not speak any English really.
Yeah.
So I found it quite difficult. Luckily though, I had 2 clients for 2 days. I was only there for like 5 days. And both of my clients spoke really good English. I was like,
thank God.
I've never gone away yet. I can't wait for the time. I've never gone away and my client has not spoke really good English.
Yeah. What would you do at that point? Just have to Google Translate and just speak it?
I don't know, mate. I don't know. We'll cross that one when it comes. I mean, like, it doesn't help that I have a little bit of a Scottish accent as well, and so it's like, I don't know. It'll be okay though. But then next guest spot, I'm going back to Hamburg.
Yep.
Next month, and then go to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Go to New York at it's called Atelier Eva in Brooklyn.
Okay, nice.
So that should be cool. Yeah, I've never tattooed in the US, so.
Have you ever? You've been to the US before?
I've been to the US.
But never tattooed there.
Yeah, I've not actually been to anywhere like. You know, where I went to the US, I was like 16, and it was such a random place to go. You know? So it's not like I've never been to like Vegas or New York or any of these like destination places. Do you know what I mean? It's
you need a bit of time and money to go to all of them, though, do you?
Fully, mate. Fully. I feel like I'm gonna go there, get too excited, and then like.
Yeah. Like I've personally never been to the States, but if someone said go anywhere in the States right now, I'd be like, fuck, this place, this.
It's so much to do.
Too many. Me and Luke was meant to go to the Anime Inc. show in Miami in February, but obviously plans and stuff kind of got in the way. We had to reschedule, so we will be going in October. Yes,
to
Richmond, Virginia in October.
Nice. That'll be awesome.
That'll be Anime Inc. number 2 of the year. That'll be sick.
What is that? Is it like obviously a convention or?
It's a convention on steroids.
Really?
Like, it is massive. How many? Like 400 artists or something?
Really?
There's 400 in Miami, I think, and I think there's
500.
How many go to, like, for instance, like I know the UKTTA is a new one, is it?
Yeah, I think it's about 250.
Oh, is it 250?
250, 300. I mean, Big London and Tea Party is usually between 3 and 350, isn't it?
Okay, do you remember the one on Tobacco Dock?
Oh,
the London one, was that?
I remember it, yeah, we went and stuff, but I don't know how many people were there. It's hard to tell, isn't it? Because it's like a bit of a maze and stuff, isn't it?
Mate, it's crazy, isn't it? You do get...
Yeah.
I love the conventions, man. It's such a good energy. And I always think, like, you come away from it and you're so hyped to get back to work. For us, like, it's a bit of a slug to admit, because obviously, like, we work Monday to Friday, then you set up on the Friday night, and then you stay in a hotel or come back Saturday, early day start. Everyone's like, shit, I need this. You're at the store doing this, then you try and get around, have a look. Day finally finishes, go and have some food, and then sometimes there's like an after party or something. It's like, fuck, okay, come on, let's go. Let's go to the babies.
Sunday do the same, pack it all up, bring it back here, Monday morning, back to work.
Yeah, it's no rest of the week.
But with what you're saying, man, like, as soon as you've done a show, you're like, fuck, that was good.
Yeah, and for you boys, I guess it's like, it's key, you have to go to these things, isn't it? It's the best way for you to get your company, your brand.
We like to have fun as well, though. Like, we've got like we have like a good, fun young team that does it and stuff now. So it's nice to kind of like get involved with artists and studio owners as well. Like, they get forgotten a lot, to be honest with you. Like, I know you're a studio owner yourself, but like literally the person who doesn't tattoo, they just run the shit basically. It's nice to talk to those people because they have like a bit of a, so you're the guys that we buy all the stuff. So you can have a nice conversation with them as well, really. Like
saying earlier, they've probably bought stuff off you boys for blooming 8+ years. Isn't it? It's like, and then it's nice for them to actually meet you in face to face.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, because at the moment, before conventions, you are literally just talking on the phone. You might see a profile picture, and that's about it.
That's it.
And then meeting someone in person and sitting down having a coffee and just talking about random shit for a while. It's like you're suddenly like, I know him.
And they're never gonna get off.
Like, I spoke to her a while ago. She's really cool. She is. It's just like she's the owner of the studio. So that's nice, really. That's conventions for us. There's a lot of benefits, but I mean for you guys as well. Like, you know, it's a way to showcase your work in real life, isn't it? Like definitely. Doing a tattoo. Sometimes you can see people do tattoos at shows, and it's like pictures and Instagram never do it justice. Never. Like. Obviously, there's some pictures on Instagram and Pinterest and everything that look great and amazing, but when you see something done in the flesh, it's like
and you can actually see it. It's
because you see the stencil, the lines, bit of shading. He's going out for a fag break, or she's just getting a drink, and then progressively around the day goes by, and then suddenly you see the final piece, and you're like, "Fuck, that is mad."
All pieces together, nice.
So I guess conventions are great for us. Visiting studios is great as well. Obviously you've done a fair bit in your time as well, but is there anywhere that is there any kind of like particular country you'd want to tattoo in that you haven't already?
I think probably Switzerland.
Interesting.
Switzerland, because a few of my friends, they go there and they do kind of similar fine line styles, and they only have really good things to say, you know. I think, to be honest with me, I would love to go anywhere. I'm always like, I'd try anywhere. Even like maybe do a guest spot back home in Scotland, or there's some beautiful studios around like Edinburgh way. So yeah, I'd be open to try anything. I'd love to go back to Spain and go to Barcelona. A studio messaged me the other day, and I need to just like finalize that and get it done. It's like and go. Obviously, I went to Madrid last year, but I feel like Barcelona would probably be a little bit more my kind of feel as a city, you know. A lot more kind of like maybe not so much relaxed, but like more my kind of vibe. I felt Madrid was quite like corporate and business oriented,
very capital city life, basically.
You know, and it was beautiful. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, maybe try Barcelona. For cities, and then love to do like a little holiday there after.
Oh, of course, do 1 day of tattooing and then 2 weeks of holiday.
That's it, mate. As soon as it's like, I don't know why, but it's like as soon as you get to the airport, I'm like, oh, I'm on holiday. And then I need to rein it in. It's like, no, Lewis, you're
here for work. You're here for work.
Don't get excited and start chilling. Like,
you know, be productive. Oh, look, a bar.
Literally, right. It's funny, but it is nice. We're so lucky to be able to go away and meet good people, work, have a nice time, experience something new at the same time. It's like, it's a win-win, you know what I mean? You're getting like 5 different things out of it. So
of course,
it's super cool, you know.
Is there any kind of like, well, I can't really say this until we have the first bit of the conversation, but you've tattooed a couple of famous people as well. So obviously I know a few of them that you've done already, but who's the most kind of like your personal favourite? Like, I can't believe I tattooed this person, whatever. I think like, I don't know how big you would say they are. I don't know. I'm not. That's why I'm saying for you personally. Like,
for me personally,
like, yes, I got to tattoo this person. I'm so happy about that, or whatever.
I don't know. I think all equally, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think so. I mean, like, each person, they kind of do different things, and I don't know if my style works great for that kind of thing. For like, I feel like I probably enjoy more when it's just people like us. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it's more, I think, personal, and it's more kind of tailored to my style as well, and you know, it's like a real collaboration between myself and the client. But you know, like, it's always fun to do like something that maybe if they play football, or I'm not a football fan, so.
Really, no. I would have actually said, you look like a football fan.
No, I mean, I grew up playing football all my life. My uncle played professional. But
did he really?
Yeah, no one's ever sported a team though. My granddad played all of his life as well.
Wait, who did your uncle play for?
So then? He played for Scottish team Inverness Cali Thistle.
Oh, nice.
I think he played for County, and then he then was a football scout. For obviously players, and now he has a football academy. So like, it's his life is football. But he's never ever sported a team, and it's usually kind of one of those things that's like passed in. But I think what put me off supporting a team was because back home it's so big, mate. You know, for like Glasgow, Rangers and Celtic.
So that's called the Old Firm Derby, isn't it?
It's so intense, mate. It's more like religion side, you know what I mean? So it always kind of put me off.
A lot of passion.
It always kind of put me off. So you know, like the boys a few of my mates, they would get up on say the game was on the Saturday morning, they'd get up at 5. They'd get on a 4.5 hour journey to Glasgow from where we're from. It's like literally 4.5 or 5 hour bus journey down south, like South Scotland, obviously. And then watch the game, get on the session, come back up. You know, the session goes into Sunday, and then they're back to work on Monday. I'm like,
win or lose, hit the booze.
But literally, mate, I was like, no, that's not for me. It's not my kind of thing, you know.
Well, you're wearing something Nike, so
I do.
What's the sport then?
So I used to run track growing up, 8 and 1500 meters, and then I've played golf all my life. And then just done like, you know, trained pretty much majority of my life. But I love playing it. I love playing any sports, to be honest. Nice. Anything. It's like, I'm down.
So what's gym life for you? Is it like a mixture of everything, or you bodybuilding, or
no, not so much that.
Just keeping fit and active, basically.
Fit. I feel like keep healthy. Like there's times where I've maybe not trained as much as other times, and I feel like tattooing then takes it out of my body. Whereas when I train and feel really good, I don't feel so like hunched over and tight, I feel a lot more comfortable, you know. And it's like, not that I've ever really had bad back problems, but I think when I'm just tattooing and not focusing on my kind of health and fitness side, I can definitely feel a difference in my body.
Like in the evening when you're sitting at home, you're like, oh,
God. I just feel kind of like sore and sluggish when I wake up. Whereas like
the picture I always think of is like the tattooist at the end of the day sitting there and it's like a shrimp. You know how they're just kind of like
because you're like this all day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, shoulders are in and like you're trying to get
up
that crispy line and you just don't care about your own posture.
Fully. So it's nice to kind of like do something where you're moving your body more and not just sitting there all day. Like,
obviously that's your own personal preference, but on a health kind of reason, would you kind of say that a tattooist should really do something physical then?
I'd say so, mate. Yeah, I think so, because
I mean, everyone needs to, but
it's obviously to release your endorphins, isn't it? And I think like mentally, it's gonna definitely help anyone, whether it even be like, focusing on getting your 10,000 steps in a day. I know it's like, it's like for some people it's an easy thing, for some people it's more of a challenge, and I think it's good, especially for tattoo artists, because you're inside all day, you're sitting down,
you're here all the time,
so it's like another thing to stay focused on and do, and it doesn't need to be like go all in and do an intense sport
and kill yourself every day or something.
You know what I mean? Like, it could be anything. I think it's good to mix between the two. And
so there's a couple of gym nights, a bit of golf. What else is there to sort of keep yourself relaxed and that? So say you've done like a good 4 or 5 days worth of tattooing, 6 days or whatever, then you're like, oh, I've got a day off, I've got nothing planned. What are you thinking?
To be honest, mate, I'm just simple life. I take my dog all over the place. I take him for, like, luckily I have a French bulldog, but he'll walk
endlessly,
mate. But he will sleep
endlessly.
So he's like the perfect. I love him so much, because he's like, if I want to go walk him, there's a place like, it's maybe like 20-minute drive from where I stay, and it's called Croom Court, and it's like I don't even know what it is. It's like an old church, and they have like a court, but you can walk right around all the fields. And then like right at the top, there's like this really cool little it's like a little monument that you can sit in, and it kind of looks over this whole area. So probably like the whole circumference of it is maybe like 4.5 miles, maybe a little bit more. He's quite the thing. Like, you walk it.
What's his name?
Aubrey, yeah.
Oh,
you would say, like Aubrey.
Okay.
I don't know how you'd say.
Aubrey.
Yeah. So I think it sounds different from
it's the accent, isn't it?
Accent, And then like one of my clients is like English, and they're like, Aubrey, or however they would say it. And saying people are like, oh yeah, I know the name. Yeah.
How are you finding that Beyond drink? Nice, isn't it?
I mean, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. It does. It's like, I like how it's not too sugary. It doesn't taste. Doesn't make your teeth feel like
gritty or anything.
Yeah, like furry almost.
Yes. I understand exactly.
So
where
I
you're
don't
coming
drink
from.
fizzy juice really, because it's like it tastes like natural. They're easy to drink. It's not like it's not so sugary. But these are really, really good, mate.
You're nice and kind of like health conscious with the food and lifestyle and that.
Yeah,
I
think
as well.
so.
Obviously
mate,
with the fitness, I suppose goes hand in hand, doesn't
I try
it?
to be. Yeah. I'm not like super regimented as like some of my friends are, but I think.
Does that kind of like break up a little bit when you go away on holiday? I mean, work holiday.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard when you do that, mate.
You want to experience different foods and that, don't you?
But I would never like not experience a different food because of whatever. I think like everything in moderation. Do you know what I mean? It's like, as long as you're regimented to a degree and you gotta enjoy yourself, But it's funny you mentioned that, because I feel like I was saying earlier, as soon as I go away, everything just goes out the window. It's like, but I wouldn't change it.
It's like your brain just suddenly goes,
holiday mode.
We're on a break. It's the same as the Christmas feeling, isn't it? Yeah,
fully, mate. I think it's like, as soon as you get to an airport, it's like,
here we go.
Yeah, it's like, we're going on holiday.
Health conscious choice or McDonald's? What am I going to choose?
2 McDonald's.
Who am I fucking kidding?
Philly, mate, Philly. It's funny, but
What's the next stage, or what's the next progressive step for you in tattooing, you reckon? Or are you just going to keep going as you are?
I think like keep doing, keep kind of trying to push the work that I'm doing. I think I'd like to maybe do more larger scale concepts. Maybe like some full body stuff, like back of legs onto the back. Or,
okay.
I'm working on one of my mates who works at studio, Jamie. I'm doing a back piece on him.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna finish that at the convention, at UK TTA. And then hopefully from that, it's funny because it will be the first back piece that I probably ever finish.
Really?
Yeah, I've started. Oh mate, I don't know how many I've started. Like a lot. And it's like people's financial situations change, which is understandable.
Of course,
and, a lot of my clients maybe have kids and priorities take over and tattooing, or maybe take a back seat, and I'm like, I just want to finish it.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But luckily, I think me and Jamie will smash it through it.
How many sittings has you done with Jamie so far?
I've done two.
Yeah. How much of the back is covered
so far?
I've done
pretty much the top half.
Yeah.
So
got like both shoulder blade areas.
Both shoulder blades down to like midsection.
Yeah.
It's going on to like the back of the arms.
So standing upright.
Going right across the back. Yeah. What I did was the whole project was based on like nostalgia and capturing moments.
Okay.
So what I did was I had old film canisters, of like film that I wasn't using, and I cut the film out of the canister, and then I got like a big pot of ink and put the canisters in the ink, and then got massive sheets of A2 paper and made like patterns with by rolling the film canister over the paper. Yeah. So and then I photographed it, put it into Procreate and used like my own reference from the ink that I put on the paper, creative. Just to try and mess around, and instead of like, I don't know, like Googling like paint splatter, I was just like,
I'll use that.
I was just kind of doing it, and I thought it was a cool little touch that it was done with something that you would take a photo with. And it links in like a real subtle meaning to him that obviously if anyone looks at it, it's just like, oh, it's just paint splatters, but it was made with the film canister itself. So
that's something that I think all of us can really appreciate with tattooing, because a lot of the time, like it's almost like you'll either have generic stuff that's off Pinterest, Google, like the typical lion, crown, rose, maybe the traddy stuff. It's all very typical. Like I've got some stuff on me that I know a lot of people have got. Yeah. But then there's the other side of things. I'm not saying there's nothing in the middle, but like then there's the complete other end of that spectrum, which is what you're saying. Yeah. Like making these kind of designs, making these kind of like very like if you don't, hopefully I'm not offending you by saying this, but very quirky way around making these designs, because I've never heard anything like that before. Yeah.
It's just trying to do it in a different format. I think like another thing that I do, that I'm sure other people will probably do as well, but I have these modeling apps on my iPad where you can position a person in any kind of...
Oh, like 3D? Yeah.
So it's like 3D figures. It's just like a sculpture figure of like a male or a female, and you can maneuver them to put their arm or hand or anything. They go into real detail so that you can create your own reference, and then you can hit a light source at any point around the figure to obviously change the light source, and they've been like a godsend for me, because I do a lot of figures and like people rising or structures on the torso. So it's like to be able to create your own reference of that, it's obviously something that you can't find on the internet. And I think that's the main thing to try and push, and then obviously drawing the reference yourself,
Yeah, of course.
From like something, or even like something that is really cool is like to take the photos of like say a mannequin or yourself, or sketch it, Yeah. So it's just like I said, like what we were saying, just trying to find different ways that you can build the designs so that they're completely unique to the client,
That's the main thing, isn't it, with tattooing now? Like to find that very unique spot can sometimes be really difficult, can't it?
Fully, because it's like so many good artists are doing like,
so much
great work. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like back in the day when I started, there wasn't many say great black and grey artists. Yeah. Whereas like now, you could literally go to like Worcester, Redditch.
There's always going to be
anywhere in the UK. There's going to be someone that is really, really good quality, black and grey or traditional or anything. So it's like it goes back onto our first topic. It's like, how do you separate yourself from
the norm?
The norm, or whoever, So it's finding these little kind of like niche formats to be like, oh, it's done this way, or so we're actually making a short movie on the project. So like on the back piece, And what I'd want to get, and I don't, and maybe you boys will actually know, is like, you know those standalone screens.
Right.
I don't know if you have any in here, but they're like big LED screens that you can like put like a movie on, or anything for like promotion or advertising. I've not looked into it yet. I need to look.
You mean like this at the convention?
Yeah, I want one. Yeah. At the convention. I don't know. If
so it can, like, the screen will be like a zoom in of you tattooing at the time.
So it's gonna. So we're making a movie of the whole back piece that my videographer is gonna put together, and then I want to have it on the screen.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so people can see like how I make all the references.
Yeah, so it's almost like just some sort of like separated monitor or something.
Yeah, like a big, like, you know, like it's like a standalone. You see them in like shops.
Yeah.
If it's like a new trainer or something that's come out, they'll have them advertised on the.
Oh, okay.
They're like LED standalone boards or whatever. I don't know what they're.
I mean, if any of these two lads obviously know anything, I'm sure they'll shoot it across to you. But that'll be good. That'll bring few people to the stand, won't it?
That's what I want to do.
So you're doing the 2 days at UKTTA on him then?
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know. I'm getting through. Like, I was a bit disheartened after the first session because a lot of it we were putting the stencil on. And then the second, like, I was a bit disheartened with it. I was happy with the outcome. But then the second day, the night before, I got everything ready and we went for it hard on the second day.
Yeah.
This was like 2 weeks later, not like one after another.
Yeah.
And then I got quite a lot done, and it's healed really nice. I'm happy with how it's healed. So it kind of like, I want to tee us off so that we have a lot done going into the convention. I feel like with larger back pieces and front pieces, you have to layer it quite a lot more than if it's, say, like a forearm, because for me, like, my work is actually quite small. So like, even on the photos, it looks like it can be quite big. But when you see it in real life, like, a lot of the stuff is only actually, you know, like, it might have lines that go from like here to here, but the actual main body of the piece is sometimes only like hand size. Yeah. So it's a lot of like fine little details. So what I didn't want to do on the back piece was loads of small things. So I actually designed it kind of for a forearm and blew it up and put it onto his back.
Right. Okay.
So from a distance you could see what it is. I wanted it to be like super visible and clear from like a distance, you know what I mean? Not that it's like loads of different little things, even though I still love that too, but like, I wanted it to be, you know, visible and clear from far away.
So do you know what the next stage is on the back? Like, do you have like a it's all done?
Yeah, it's all made,
right.
Yeah. I've not like gone in and lined everything, but like, I have, like, the next day I'll be like, yep, we're doing this bit, boom, boom, and it's all, I've made the whole thing. So every day we know we're going straight into it one after another.
Yeah, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, come and
see it. We'll be there.
It.
So obviously you'll have Connor going around with the camera probably every half an hour on you.
Yeah, do it, definitely.
Yeah.
It'll be great to see you boys there.
Was there any other conventions you got planned up this year?
No, mate. I'm kicking myself. I'd love to go on to Brighton.
Yeah.
Because Brighton.
Oh, that's this weekend.
Yeah,
though.
It's this weekend.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, everything just came around. So we're going into March, obviously, like a week or whatever. Everything's coming around so fast, and I think like we would have had to plan towards the end of last year to go to Brighton, and I have no banners. I've never tattooed at a convention before.
Have you not really?
No, never.
So UKTTA is
my first one. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've never. So yeah, it's me, Joe, who tattooed Connor. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sarah Louise is working with us, and my friend Gully is going to be next to us too.
Dan Gully?
Yeah.
He's tattooed Luke.
Has he?
Yeah.
No way. Oh yeah, he's class, isn't he?
Shout out to Gully.
Quality, mate. What did he tattoo on you?
I did a
Get it out.
Margaret portrait.
Get it
way.
out.
Alex Turner.
Oh, fair play, mate.
Yeah, nice, yeah.
I think I have seen it actually.
Yeah.
I have seen it.
Okay, so.
Yeah, obviously not on you, but yeah. I'll need to see it with me. Or can you want to show me now?
I can show you now.
Yay!
Let's have a look.
Let's get me on cam.
Go on, get in there. Get in there.
Get in. Get the trousers down, lad. Oh yeah, that's nuts, mate.
Nice and hairy again.
Yeah,
With a tradition, like his classic. That's quality.
Cool.
Unbelievable,
He's a
mate.
very talented man.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing, mate. That's amazing, eh? It's always mad because, like, I think like what I was saying with my work, like you don't realize the size of things until you see it in person.
Yeah.
Because obviously Instagram, the quality, you lose the quality slightly.
Oh yeah.
And you'll maybe especially when it's something like that, you're gonna zoom in order to see like all the details. So you really like you don't realize that the things are actually only like an inch and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You did a portrait on Jamie right here on a hard spot to tattoo, and it's like it's smaller than this, mate. Yeah, it's a lot smaller.
Yeah.
It's nuts, you know.
Is your like is probably like average size tattoo you do like palm size then, or
Yeah, the main body of it,
Yeah.
palm size, and
Yeah.
then it'll have like, you know, abstract lines coming off of it.
just
which-
kind of like give it that
which
extra
makes
vertical?
it gives you the feeling that it's big,
Yeah.
but it's not, you know. It's like, yeah, like the realism section will always be fairly small.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I only use
What sort of like sizes cartridges are you doing for
5
that
mag.
then? 5 mag.
Yeah, 5 mag. Yeah.
Yeah.
3. I line everything. I shade with bug pin 3 over everything.
Yeah.
Like really just like small little crosshatch kind of etching, and
Yeah.
then go with a 5 mag and darken it and go smooth it over.
Okay.
So I do like a 2-layer pass.
So like that's your formula now. It's not
Yeah.
like it changes
No,
per piece
never,
or anything.
maybe, never. I've worked from bottom to top, or my concentration span sometimes runs away. So I like to do little bits of like
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah.
Or the only time I'll maybe start in the middle of a piece is if it's like a small face or something. I'll do that at the start, get that out of the way, so I don't. Have to
And then
do it
build
later.
around
Yeah,
it and stuff. Yeah.
And then I'll pick the blocks out first as well.
Is there any sort of like subjects or I don't know what do you want to call it? Is there any sort of like main components of a tattoo that you've never done, like some sort of realism, like maybe a particular animal or a particular kind of like?
Ooh,
Is there anything that you've never done that you think, God, I'd love to try and do that on someone one day?
that's a good question, mate. I think there's a lot of animals that I've not tattooed.
Yeah.
I think this is like fresh in my memory because my client the other day, me and him got on really good. He had an otter tattooed on him.
An otter?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I've never tattooed one of those. Oh goodness me, yeah. I think one of those would be cool to put into like a little concept maybe.
Yeah.
I think the beauty of my style is that you can like merge anything. I think that's a good question, question to answer, because you could literally stick like any few things together
Yeah.
and create like a really cool little concept, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to do, because my mum's down at the minute, I kind of wanted to do like maybe a little, like a little vase with some flowers and like a person walking into it with a staircase.
Oh, like on the reflection or something?
Yeah, or
Oh,
like
that'd be
actually
cool.
like have a doorway and stairs into the vase,
Yeah.
and the person's like walking up, or I don't know. I thought she's like, "Oh, are you gonna tattoo me?" So straight away my mind's thinking, "Oh, what could I do? Like a little mini concept on her
Yeah.
that's gonna take a few hours and is something like nice for the portfolio." I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
good. It has some sort of sentimental thing as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
And she loves that kind of thing. Like, and I
yeah.
think like a few of the boys that I'm mates with, I've seen them do these vases with flowers, and I'm like, they look nice. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
look- I really love doing small tattoos. Not like the stuff that I do that's like normal size that I was telling you about still takes me like 6, 7, 8 hours.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy doing like 3-hour tattoos, you know.
Like micro portrait stuff or
Really love it, because it's like
why though?
I think because it's you can really dial in your focus, and it's like, you know, sometimes on a not a ropey day, but on a day where you're maybe like slightly more fatigued than usual,
Yeah.
like tattooing for like 6, 7 hours, it can be hard.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then like 8 hours hard. I think when I was growing up, I used to tattoo so much, like for long sessions.
You kind of got it instilled in you.
Yeah, I have it instilled, but like on the other end, it's like I can't do it for as long as I used to be able to. You know, the concentration, it runs away. I think like with having the studio and a few other things that I'm working on,
There's
it's
there's less headspace in it.
yeah, fully, mate.
Yeah.
Fully. I'm not just like a tattoo artist, you know what I mean? I want to do multiple other things, so it's like to really dial in, it takes a lot more concentration.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like when it's like a 3-4 hour appointment, it's like it feels like a really good time. You know, it's like
It's almost like you can put 6 hours worth of passion and effort into 3 hours.
Fully.
That's what like some completely different, completely different example now. But that's what some bands and stuff say, because like
if they're
when
doing
you're
a long
supporting,
set,
like you can do a half an hour session, but you put in so much fucking effort into it,
and everyone gets that energy more than if it's like 2-3 hours,
rather than like a 2-3 hour gig. Whereas what you're saying is like if you have like a 6 hour session, you put that into like a 2-3 hour
that's
slot.
That's a good comparison. Fully.
Yeah. I know what you're saying though, because I mean it is true, isn't it? Because like if you suddenly think to yourself, right, I've got to work for 6 hours now, you'll start to like not put all of it in one go. You'll go, right, I've got to pace myself.
It's exactly the same as if like you're working like 5-6 days a week. I think if I looked at my calendar now and I saw like a 5 or 6 day week, I'd be like, whoa, because I want to spend the time on designing too. But like, you know, maybe if you do like a 3-4 day week and you're like, you know what, gets to like whatever day and you're like, oh, I'd like to do a tattoo today, you know what I mean? Get one of your mates in it. It's going in a little bit of an easier option than being like so you know, not stressed, but knowing that you've got a lot to do.
There's a particular word I'm trying to think of now. It's like exhausted basically.
I think it's like one of those things. I think especially with design work as well, you are kind of, if you're just like doing as a tattoo artist, you're doing kind of two jobs, because you have your design process and then obviously the execution of the tattoo itself, you know. And the design process, I think for a lot of artists could maybe even take longer than actually doing the tattoo, you know what I mean? So it is like two jobs in one.
The two job thing you're on about, I presume now, obviously being a studio owner and an artist, are you sort of like, is your headspace very much like thinking of this and that, or do you sort of like still feel like you're just a tattooist that has their own place?
I don't think I ever really felt as like just a tattoo artist, to be honest. I always wanted to branch out and do other things and like pick knowledge from different people that I've met, and then, you know, my mind is always thinking of the next thing. And I think it's always felt like that. Even when I started out tattooing, I was thinking, right, what can I do? Not even just necessarily to make money, but just to improve probably myself, and obviously meet different people as well, you know. And then I think, like, you know, when you get this studio, the natural instinct is to not worry about the other artists, but make sure that they're happy, you know.
Make sure they're happy working under your roof.
So for me, it's always been like, not a challenge, but, you know, I want to make sure that they're comfortable. So, you know, it's like, it's always in the back of my mind, like, right, do we need to get something? You know, what can we do to improve this? So it's a constant, you're constantly evolving, do you know what I mean? And there's always something going on. There's always something to buy, or, you know what I mean, to make it someone's life easier to do.
Like there's an email from the accountant, there's this water thing going on, there's the landlord that said that, the VAT guy.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
are you sort of like, at the, like, compared to being, when I say just a tattooist, like, I mean, like, your income is tattooist, but now it's kind of like you're a studio owner, there's more responsibility, more pressure. Do you feel that comparison?
Yeah, fully. I'm really fortunate. I have a woman called Camilla who works with me, and we've worked together since maybe 2 or 3 years. And she's brilliant. She helps me with everything.
Does all the admin, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, does all the admin. We have another girl that started as well who does the client coordinating too. But Camilla takes care of like majority of like the management within the studio. So me and her work really close with one another, and it allows me to obviously focus on the art side of things and any other venture that I want to go down. It gives me that little bit more time, you know. So it's great having someone. I think, like, you know, if you have a studio and they don't have a strong management, I think it's like one of the key things, you know, to have someone as like a base. They not only can you bounce ideas off, but, you know, they can make sure, to me, I just want everything to be super organized. You know, that's how I want it to be run. I want it to be a smooth ship, you know. I don't want it to be hectic or, you
obviously know. In your experience doing it now, there's not really like a single piece of advice, or like that cliche bollocks, like there's no single piece of advice, but like what would you sort of say to someone who's thinking, I could do with my own studio, I'm thinking about it, I've been tattooing for about 6, 7, 8 years now, what would you sort of say?
I think the best advice would be there's never a right time, because I think I meet so many people, and not even just within the tattoo industry or you know, specific to getting a studio, but people are always like, I don't know if it's the right time, and there really is never a right time.
Yeah.
You need to just like do it. If you're passionate about it and it's something you want to pursue, then just do it. Do you know what I mean? I think, and another good thing is surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
Because it's like no successful business and no successful brand, anything is done by a single person. There's always a strong team. Do you know what I mean? Like you said,
of course.
at the start of the morning, there's 10 of you boys. It's not just one man, and I think like that's something that I do well as well. It's like, you know, not only just the artist, but the management side, the client coordinator.
Yeah.
Everything is really good. The whole core of it is good. You know,
It's like as long as all the cogs work and
fully, mate.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be smooth sailing. Do you know what I mean? Not that there's obviously always teething issues in there, but
there's always bumps in the road. But I suppose if your
That's
foundation is solid, then it
yeah.
makes it a bit easier.
fully, mate.
Yeah.
Fully.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow,
Good.
Lewis, fantastic having a chat with you, dude.
Thank you so much.
Last question of the podcast. Who would you think we should have on next?
I would get my friend Damien on.
Damien?
Yeah, Damien host.
There you go, Dame.
Yeah.
You've been called
Damien is coming on. Yeah,
Lewis.
I don't know if he's done a podcast, but he'd be great, mate. He's interesting.
out, bro. We'll happily take his podcast cherry.
Let's do it.
Right, Lewis.
Nice to meet you, man.
Thank you very much,
Thank
man.
you.